Welcome to techCast, the podcast that quenches curiosity, powered by Q&A Markham. techCast, where we deep dive into the exciting world of technology, bringing you the latest trends, innovations, and thought-provoking discussions. Join us on this exciting journey as we explore the boundless possibilities.
Hello everyone, welcome to techCast powered by Q&A Markham. In today's episode, we will deep dive into the world of governance, risk and compliance. And we'll also explore how this crucial aspect of business is evolving to become the growth driver in rapidly changing landscape. I'm your host Yeshi Upadhyay, and our guest for today is Mr. Srdjan Babic, CIO at CyberGate. We will discuss with him the changing dynamic in GRC and how companies like CyberGate are shaping the future. Hello, Mr. Babic. Thank you for being here with us today. Could you please give a little bit of information about yourself? What do you do at CyberGate?
Thank you for having me. My name is Srdjan Babic. I'm a Chief Information Security Officer and Director of CyberGate Academy. I'm with CyberGate from the start. We have been on a very interesting journey initially as a startup and now as a part of the IHC, growing rapidly in UAE region and even worldwide. My role at CyberGate is to enhance, build on knowledge, experience and expertise of local resources as well as international employees. I manage a number of different projects related to governance, risk compliance, assurance, and work as adjunct faculty on several universities here, teaching the students as well and leading them later on within their search for jobs, on-job trainings and similar activities. So it's a very interesting and very energetic kind of daily activities that I have on my hands every day.
That's interesting. As you mentioned that you also take care of the risk, governance and compliance at CyberGate. So my first question to begin with is about the shifting perception of GRC. It's not just the mechanism of like regulatory, monitoring and reporting. It's now seen as the potential growth driver. So what are your views on that?
A very interesting question indeed. Well, I believe that it is all connected to the maturity of the market. We all know that the rise and the rapid growth of the market in UAE has been really exponential over the past, let's say, 20, 30 years. And within this growth, the GRC is actually finding its place. First, it was through the external sources where companies had to use external services to actually comply with the requirements from the legal and the regulatory part. But indeed, the governance, risk and compliance is actually a management tool. Therefore, the management tool is being designed both on a legal level, on a regulatory level, or on the standard compliance level as a mean to allow any company management to actually define the processes, the procedures within the companies themselves, and to enable them and to allow them to actually manage them, measure them, and continuously improve them. Now, the internal part, because of this exponential growth, was always kept aside. It was somehow, let's say, an obstacle for the management to actually achieve this rapid growth. So now with the market being more stabilized, where the companies are now settled, there is already, let's say, visibility on who is the leader in the market, who are the niche players. Now the governance, risk and compliance from the internal perspective actually starts to be seen as a business driver. Why is this? The reason is very simple. Once we are in a position where we have reached the barrier of growth that is determined by the size of the market, we need now to refocus ourselves internally and see how can we improve what we are doing inside the company in terms of policies, procedures, processes, and the effectiveness and efficiency of these processes within the organization. That is where the companies are actually finding their key strengths. They are finding ways how to decrease cost, how to increase the revenue, how to create new services. And that is where governance, risk and compliance as a as a very broad consultancy area comes into a picture. So we see on the market a number of changes driven by external regulators and legal requirements, which UAE is rapidly changing to align with the international community. And therefore, I believe that these internal drivers now will be more and more interesting to the business itself and to the management and to the perspective that if we are able to manage ourselves through a governance, risk and compliance model, we'll be able to be proactive and to find all those areas of improvement and potential growth within the company that are completely different than the market growth. So I believe that the companies who are doing both are actually the leaders on the market because they are utilizing both internal and external strengths of the governance, risk and compliance let's say that the industry actually offers to the companies.
Interesting. That's indeed an interesting perspective. Can you please also tell us how CyberGate is helping the organization to embrace this new approach to GRC?
Okay, so how
you could provide an example for that.
I will. So how do we do it? Our approach is not based on simple consulting. We start and we communicate our approach to our clients through a learning path. So implementation and change of governance, risk and compliance as a continuous internal process is a big business change. So we see this as a change management. We try through the series of workshops, training and awarenesses to highlight the possibilities of governance, risk and compliance and benefits that the companies can get. In the second step, we explore the company's organization, roles and responsibilities, the ways that the actual activities are done today, as we like to call it, as is, without looking at the documents, just trying to understand and to see how the companies breathe and grow. Okay. Now, mapping these actually tell us and gives us the possibility to discuss what options the companies have to actually improve their governance, risk and compliance, to improve their information security, cyber security, operational readiness, business continuity, depending on a number of different areas. These elements will then create business impact analysis. They will create blueprints for the business continuity. They will tell us what the data is being collected, processed and stored for the data management and data security, data privacy, and it will also become a blueprint for CyberGate team to actually define those security controls which are necessary for the organization to enable the business without creating an overhead or extreme costs to these activities. The prime example is would be learning path where the companies from being fully operational become fully measurable. And this change, to entice this change in organization is something that I like to call learning process rather than consulting.
Like if we include learning rather than consulting, so it's like you get a lot of information as well?
The difference between learning and consulting is that consulting is activity, it's a job that is ordered by management and is prepared for the management. Learning process that we take actually takes into account all of the employees, because all of the employees are actually the organization. So all of the employees needs to understand what does it mean and how it will work. So to make sure that this kind of activity does not interrupt the daily activities of the business. We have to make sure that the business continues to grow and that any change that is done in a controlled manner to actually immediately enable the business to grow, to change, to improve. So this is a much broader approach, but the approach that, if taken properly, will bring significant benefits to the company on every level, from physical security, HR, procurement, finance, name it, every single part of the company will, at the end, see the benefits of this kind of approach and of the governance, risk and compliance as, let's say, a new function within a company that can actually bring a lot of results.
So we can say that this kind of approach will also help the companies who are taking consultation from your organization or taking learnings from your organization, right?
Absolutely.
Interesting. So this leads us to the next question, that how CyberGate is poised to fulfill the digital transformation goals in GRC for customers and prospects.
Digital transformation is a big hype word in the UAE. Everybody's talking about digital transformation using one or the other term. But it is always good to go back and understand what the digital transformation actually means.
Yeah.
The digital transformation in its essence is exactly what I was explaining in the previous question. It is a process where a company is striving to improve the internal processes by using modern technologies. And in order to do so, the companies actually need to implement governance within the company itself, to document all the processes, procedures, roles and responsibilities in organization, create performance metrics, and only then they will be able to actually even start planning for the digital transformation. Because digital transformation, without knowing what we have done so far and what kind of results we have from the operations and the process outputs that we have, will never actually satisfy or succeed the goals of the management. The reason is very simple. I'll give you an example. If we want to transform from, let's say, transfer from one type of car to another, if we don't know the type of the car, the model of the car, the speed or the fuel consumption, how are we going to say that the next car is going to be better, faster, or more economical? So the same principle applies to the company. Once we have the clients who are, let's say, in a position, or they have the willingness and the plan to move into digital transformation, again, we will have the same or similar approach, where we first need to understand and investigate what are the current policies and procedures, how they are actually managing their operations, and then based on that, and based on the best practices on the market and benchmarks, we will start defining for them a possible model of digital transformation. This digital transformation will have a significant part on the consulting side, where every single step along the way within every process in the organization needs to be examined from several different aspects, including data. And most importantly, how this data flows, where this data needs to be accessed, by whom, where do we store it, how do we process it, who owns it, etc., etc. Once something like this is created as, let's say, a data map will actually allows us to define those digital technologies which a company can embrace, of course, within certain budgets, and enable them to actually achieve digital transformation. Once, let's say, we start with the technology implementation, we create the benchmarks to see on short, medium, and long term, let's say in between 1 and 5 years, how this transformation actually had effect on the organization, whether they're positive or negative, and to assure that we react in time on any improvement that needs to be done in order to achieve the long-term goal that the company has fulfilled a full digital transformation strategy and program.
So we can say that, like, digital transformation, we say it, but basically it's a business transformation using digitalization?
More or less. Because in effect, what the businesses do will not change. Only the means of how they do it, and how they reach to their end customers, or how do they present their products or services, is changing by the usage of new technology.
So it's clear that technology plays a crucial role in modern GRC?
Technology is an asset. It's a tool that allows the management to actually use their operations more efficiently and effectively.
So, like, let's shift our focus to the challenges associated with third-party vendors. This comes with different security challenges, which can be like compromising to the customer data and the business integrity. So, what are your views on this?
Indeed, there is a quite significant change in the understanding of the businesses when it comes to the third-party risk. we witnessed a significant shift, let's say about 3 or 4 years from, and the interest started when some of the partners, some of the suppliers got compromised with different cyber attacks, and companies started to ask the question, what do we do and how do we protect ourselves? The third-party risk is an enterprise risk management function which needs to be managed on a corporate level and needs to include all of those departments within the company who have any need to contract, subcontract, or share information with the third parties. These third parties can be government entities, they can be private institutions, they can be just partners and suppliers. But each one of these is carrying and will be carrying a significant third-party risk. Now, with the clients that we currently have, we are evaluating the third-party risk on their behalf in understanding the brand monitoring of the partners and suppliers. We are reviewing their partners and suppliers' internet security posture. So in other words, we are checking on how are they seen online, what kind of web services, apps are they running, and what kind of security do they have on these applications and websites and web services. And on the lower level, we are actually examining the way that companies are sharing the data or connecting with the clients on different angle. It is important to say that in the government sector, the initiative actually started earlier as a mandatory that each one of the suppliers providing any kind of digital services to the government needs to actually adhere to the minimum security standards, and they need to comply and assure the government that these are actually being done. In the Western world, this is done through mandatory requirements for security certifications, whether these are ISO standards or national standards, to allow the companies to work with the government. I believe that something similar very soon will be in place in the UAE for the government sector. For the private sector, let's say that this is still a little bit unexploited territory, but we are seeing from the bigger companies now interest in this. And on the digital side, what's the reason for that? The reason is that nowadays we see a lot of attacks when it comes to ransomware. We see in average more than 100,000 phishing emails being sent on a daily basis, targeting different levels in the organizations. So all of these are actually the reasons why companies should think about the third-party risk, because it's not only how well are they protected, but how well are protected those companies and entities from whom they are expecting to receive something that they deem legitimate. And that is where the biggest risk is. Some of the main incidents in the region that happened over the last couple of years have been connected with a third-party risk, where the legitimate email has been received with a compromise in it, and it was actually opened and executed within different companies. So the company was not compromised from within. Their security controls have been working fine. They received a legitimate email, but the legitimate email was actually compromised on the third end.
From the third party side.
Yes. CyberGate works with many vendors in this arena. Mainly, we are working with MasterCard as one of their partners for the GCC. We utilize massive amount of data that they provide to us for every single organization in our scope. Together with our risk team, we also evaluate each one of the entities for our clients. Again, coming back to the first question, in a learning curve, we try to embrace and try to set the expectations of the management that they have the right to the third-party audit. So they have the right to audit their suppliers to understand the level of safety and security they have within their organization, to actually allow them to assess the actual risk much better. The bigger companies, corporations, and government entities are subject to external audit evaluations, and very often these reports are used as well as part of the third-party risk assessment. So there is quite a lot of very important activities that needs to be done in this field. However, it's still in its infant age, and we see and we hope that this is going to be one of the drivers, because it's going to actually bring, let's say, reduced cost and reduced risk to the organization when it comes to their own security and own controls.
So that's indeed a comprehensive approach to managing the third-party risk.
Well, third-party risk is something that we, let's say, have put aside for quite a long time, maybe from the perspective that everybody will have the same intention and will have the same level of security, or will try to implement at least same level of security for the entities. And that is not the case, not in UAE or in GCC or anywhere else in the world. So the companies are actually trying to survive on the market, and only those who survive the first couple of years will go into GRC, as we mentioned earlier. And once they go into GRC, they'll start implementing the controls and managing the controls, and only then they will start being aware of the third-party risk. So working with fresh new companies is actually third-party risk, high third-party risk, because they don't have the resources, budget, or let's say means to actually implement all these controls that we need. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't work with them. That means that we need to know for these risks and establish the controls that will allow us to continue this cooperation, to continue the partnership, and also to guide our partners on what they need to do, so that the risk seen on our side from them will be reduced. And then we see that this kind of approach actually works very well. We had several very positive examples where after the third-party risk assessment, we've seen that companies were tending to cancel some of the contracts, while the companies in question there actually reached out and said, can we have a guidance? Give us a guidance. We'll try, we'll start the program ourselves. And we managed to help them continue their cooperation without breaking the contracts, but with the intention that they actually need now to manage their risk and know it. And again, they need to know their third-party risk management. So it is, let's say, a stepping stone, one by one, but we reach to the full understanding.
Oh, interesting. So how would you like to conclude this podcast, like the discussion which we did right now?
Well, I would like to invite first of all of your viewers, all of the companies to visit CyberGate website to see what we are doing and what kind of activities we have in our schedules. We have a number of events. We have CyberGate Academy. Please come and join, explore the programs. We are now starting with some foundational, intermediate, and advanced programs. We're looking to enhance all of these activities with even some master and PhD programs going forward in the next couple of years. We are open for partnership. We're open for internship. We are a company that likes to grow. We are a company that has an open door policy for partners, for employees, and for anybody else who is interested in transformation of businesses from the perspective of governance, risk, and compliance, and cybersecurity as a whole.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Babic, for being here with us today. And we look forward to have one more episode, to record one more episode with you soon. And indeed, this was an interesting and insightful conversation which we had today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
And that's a wrap for this episode. I hope you found this episode enlightening and informative. This episode shed light on the evolving role of GRC, the impact of digital transformation, and importance of third-party security risk. We will be back soon with more exciting topics like this. Until next time, stay informed, stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of technology and business. I'm Yashi Upadhyay, signing off.
techCast, powered by Q&A Markham, unraveling the enigmas of the digital age in every episode. Subscribe to techCast on YouTube and on your favorite podcast directory and never miss an update.